He kept everything hidden, just to find someone who needed nothing. Elias was a quiet cowboy who traveled alone across the wide, open plains. People in small towns had seen him many times, but no one really knew him. He never stayed long enough for anyone to ask questions. He would arrive, rest for a short time, and then leave before sunrise. He had a strong horse, dusty boots, and a calm face that showed very little emotion. But what made Elias different was not what people could see. It was what he kept hidden. Inside his saddlebags were not just food and tools. He carried old letters, small keepsakes, and memories that he never shared with anyone. Some of the letters were never opened. Some were written by him but never sent. Each item meant something, but Elias never spoke about them. Every evening, Elias would stop near a town, but not inside it. He preferred to stay at the edge, where he could see people without being seen too much. He would sit quietly, watching from a distance. He saw families sitting together, talking and laughing. He saw children running and playing freely. He saw people greeting each other like they belonged somewhere. Elias always watched, but he never joined. He believed that getting close to people only brought pain. A long time ago, he had learned that when you care too much, you can lose everything. So, he made a rule for himself. Never stay, never share, and never let anyone get too close. It was easier that way. One evening, as the sun slowly went down, Elias stopped near a small town he had never seen before. It was quiet, smaller than most places he had passed. There were only a few buildings, and the streets were calm. Something about this place felt different. Usually, Elias would not even think twice. He would rest for a moment and then move on. But this time, he stayed a little longer. He tied his horse near a wooden fence and looked toward the town. There was a stable nearby. It looked simple but well cared for. A young woman was there, gently brushing a horse. She moved slowly and calmly, as if she had no hurry at all. Elias watched her for a moment. She did not look up right away, but after some time, she noticed him. Instead of asking questions or looking confused, she simply gave a small nod. "Your horse looks tired," she said softly. Elias was not used to people speaking to him like that, simple, without curiosity or pressure. "Yes," he replied shortly. "You can leave him here for the night," she said. "There's space." That was all she said. No questions about where he came from. No questions about where he was going. Elias found that strange. Most people were curious. They asked too many things. They wanted to know his story. But this woman didn't ask anything at all. He slowly walked his horse into the stable. The place was clean and quiet. The woman continued her work as if nothing was unusual. Elias stood there for a moment, unsure of what to say. "Thank you," he said finally. She nodded again but did not say much more. That silence felt different. It was not uncomfortable. It was calm. Elias stepped outside and sat near the fence. The sky was turning dark and the stars were beginning to appear. He reached into his saddlebag and took out one of the old letters. He held it in his hands but did not open it. He had carried that letter for years. For a moment, he thought about leaving again, just like always. The road was familiar. It was safe. It asked nothing from him. But something inside him felt different tonight. He looked back at the stable. The light inside was still on. The woman was still there, quietly working, not expecting anything from him. Elias felt something he had not felt in a long time. He felt still, not restless, not ready to run, just still. He placed the letter back into his bag and looked toward the town again. The quiet streets, the soft lights, the peaceful feeling, it all made him pause. For the first time in many years, Elias did not feel the need to leave right away. He leaned back against the fence and closed his eyes for a moment. Maybe, just for one night, he could stay. And for the first time in years, Elias did not keep riding. The next morning, Elias woke up earlier than usual. The sky was still soft and pale, and the air was cool. For many years, he had followed the same routine. Wake up, prepare his horse, and leave before anyone noticed. But today, he did not move quickly. He sat quietly near the stable, watching the slow rise of the sun. His horse looked more relaxed than before, gently eating the hay. That alone made Elias feel something small, but new. Peace. After a while, the young woman from the stable walked out. She carried a small bucket of water and moved with the same calm steps as the day before. "Morning," she said. "Morning," Elias replied. There was a short silence, but it did not feel strange. "I'll get your horse ready," she said. Elias nodded. "Thank you." Again, she did not ask anything else. No questions. No curiosity. No pressure. Elias noticed this more now. It was unusual. Most people would already be asking him where he came from, how long he would stay, or why he was alone. But she didn't. As she worked, Elias watched her quietly. She treated every horse with care, speaking softly to them as if they understood her words. "What's your name?" Elias asked after some time. "Lila," she answered. Then she continued her work. Elias waited for her to ask his name back, but she didn't. That surprised him. "I'm Elias," he said, almost without thinking. Lila gave a small nod. "Nice to meet you." And that was it. No more words. Elias felt something shift inside him. It was strange. He was not used to this kind of quiet connection. It felt simple, but also strong in a way he could not explain. Later, Lila placed some food on a small wooden table near the stable. "You can eat if you want," she said. Elias looked at the food. "You didn't have to." "I know," she said calmly. That answer stayed in his mind. She did not expect anything in return. She did not act like she was doing him a favor. She simply offered, and that was all. Elias sat down and began to eat. The food was simple, but warm and fresh. He had eaten many meals on the road, but this one felt different. Maybe it was the quiet place, or maybe it was her. The day passed slowly. Elias helped with small tasks around the stable. He cleaned a few tools, carried water, and checked the fences. Lila did not ask him to help, but she did not stop him either. They worked side by side, mostly in silence. But it was not empty silence. It felt comfortable. As the sun began to set again, Elias found himself still there. He had not left. That had never happened before. Usually he would already be miles away by now, but something kept him here. That evening he sat near the stable again, just like the night before. Lila sat a few steps away, quietly fixing a piece of rope. "Do you travel a lot?" she asked softly. Elias looked at her, a little surprised. It was the first real question she had asked. "Yes," he said. "I don't stay in one place." Lila nodded. "I see." She did not ask why. She did not ask where he had been. She did not ask where he would go next. Elias waited, but no more questions came. That made him think. Most people wanted answers. They wanted stories. They wanted reasons. But Lila didn't seem to need any of that. She accepted things as they were. Elias looked down at his hands. For years he had carried everything alone. His thoughts, his memories, his fears. No one had ever made him feel like he didn't have to explain himself. Until now. "Why don't you ask questions?" Elias suddenly asked. Lila looked at him calmly. "If you want to tell something, you will," she said. "If not, that's okay too." Elias stayed quiet. Her words were simple, but they touched something deep inside him. For the first time in a long while, he did not feel like he had to hide everything. Not because someone forced him to speak, but because someone allowed him to stay silent. And somehow, that made him want to speak. That night, as Elias sat alone, he opened his saddlebag again. He looked at the old letters, the small items he had carried for so long. He had always believed these things were meant to stay hidden, that sharing them would only bring pain. But now, he wasn't so sure. He looked toward the stable. The soft light was still there. Lila was inside, moving quietly as always. Elias took one letter into his hand and held it tightly. For the first time, he wondered something new. What would happen if he stopped hiding? That night, the air was quiet and cool. The stars filled the sky, shining softly above the small town. Elias sat near the stable, holding one of his old letters in his hands. He had looked at this letter many times before, but he had never opened it. His fingers moved slowly over the edges, as if the paper itself carried something heavy. Inside the stable, Lila was finishing her work. She moved quietly, just like always. When she stepped outside, she saw Elias sitting there, lost in thought. She did not ask anything. She simply sat a short distance away. The silence between them was calm, not empty. It felt safe. Elias looked at the letter again. His mind was full of memories, long roads, empty nights, and faces he had left behind without saying goodbye. For years, he had carried everything inside. He believed that speaking about it would only make it harder. So, he stayed quiet. But tonight felt different. He took a slow breath. "This letter," Elias said softly, breaking the silence. Lila looked at him, but she did not interrupt. "I've had it for a long time," he continued. "I never opened it." He paused, as if unsure whether to continue. Lila waited patiently. It was given to me before I left my home, Elias said. I thought, if I didn't open it, then I wouldn't have to face what was inside. His voice was calm, but there was something deeper behind it. Why didn't you open it? Lila asked gently. Elias looked down at the letter. I was afraid, he admitted. Afraid that it would remind me of everything I lost, or everything I left behind. Lila nodded slightly. She did not try to give advice. She just listened. That made it easier for Elias to continue. I used to think that if I kept moving, I wouldn't feel anything, he said. If I didn't stay anywhere, then nothing could hurt me. He gave a small, quiet smile. But it doesn't work like that. The wind moved softly around them. All those things I tried to leave behind, they came with me, Elias said. In these letters, in these small things, in my thoughts. Lila spoke after a moment. That sounds heavy. Elias nodded. It is. For the first time, he did not try to hide it. He looked at her, almost surprised by himself. He had never spoken this much to anyone in years, but with Lila, it felt easier. Why are you telling me this? She asked, not with doubt, but with quiet curiosity. Elias thought for a moment. I don't know, he said honestly. Maybe because you didn't ask me to. Lila gave a soft smile. That simple answer carried more meaning than long explanations. Elias looked back at the letter in his hands. It no longer felt like something he had to hide. Slowly, he opened it. The paper made a soft sound as it unfolded. His eyes moved across the words. At first, he said nothing. Then he took a deeper breath. It's from someone who cared about me, he said quietly. They wrote that no matter where I go, I don't have to carry everything alone. His voice became softer. They said, it's okay to stop. It's okay to stay somewhere. It's okay to let people in. Elias closed his eyes for a moment. For years, I ignored this, he said. I thought I was stronger by being alone. He looked at Lila again. But maybe I was just afraid. Lila listened, her expression calm and understanding. Being alone is not always strength, she said gently. Sometimes staying is. Those words stayed with Elias. He looked around the quiet place, the stable, the open sky, the soft light. For the first time, he noticed how peaceful it all felt. Not empty, not lonely, just peaceful. I've been running for so long, Elias said. I don't even know how to stop. Lila stood up slowly. You don't have to decide everything at once, she said. Just take one step. Elias watched her as she walked back into the stable. Her words were simple, but they made sense. One step, not the whole journey, just one step. Elias sat there for a long time after that. He looked at the letter again, then carefully folded it and placed it back in his bag. But this time, it felt different. It was no longer something hidden. It was something understood. He leaned back and looked up at the stars. For years, the road had been his only home. But now, he wasn't sure anymore. Morning would come soon, and with it, a choice. Would he leave, like he always did? Or would he finally take that one small step? And stay. The morning came slowly, just like the day before. The sky was soft and quiet, and the air felt fresh. Elias stood near the stable, holding the reins of his horse. For many years, this moment had always been the same. He would wake up, get ready, and leave. No questions, no second thoughts. But today, it was different. Elias did not move right away. He stood still, looking at the open road in front of him. The path was long and familiar. It had always been his escape. Behind him was the stable. A simple place. A quiet place. A place where something inside him had started to change. His horse shifted slightly, ready to go, as if it already knew the routine. Elias gently placed his hand on the horse's neck. We've been doing this for a long time, he said softly. For a moment, he almost smiled. Then he looked back at the stable. The door was open, and soft light came from inside. Lila was already awake, moving calmly as she always did. She noticed Elias standing there, but she did not rush or call out to him. She simply walked toward him. Morning, she said. Morning, Elias replied. There was a short silence, but it felt peaceful. You're leaving, she asked. Elias looked at the road again. For so many years, the answer had always been easy. Yes. But today, the word did not come out. He took a slow breath. I don't know, he said honestly. Lila nodded, as if that answer made perfect sense. You don't have to decide right now, she said. Elias looked at her. That's what you said last night. And it's still true, she replied calmly. Elias lowered his eyes for a moment. His mind was full of thoughts, but they were not heavy like before. They felt clearer. He reached into his saddlebag and pulled out the old letter, the one he had opened the night before. He held it carefully, then looked back at the stable. For years he had carried everything with him. Every memory, every feeling, every piece of his past. He believed he had to. But now, something inside him told him otherwise. Slowly, Elias walked back toward the stable. Lila followed quietly, without asking anything. Inside, the place was just as calm as always. The soft sounds of the horses, the gentle light, the peaceful feeling, it all surrounded him. Elias placed the letter on a small wooden table. Then he reached into his bag again. He took out a small keepsake, a simple object he had carried for years. It did not look important to others, but to him, it held many memories. He placed it next to the letter. Lila watched him, but she did not speak. Elias stepped back and looked at the items. For the first time, he was not holding on to them tightly. He was letting them rest. I've carried these for too long, he said quietly. Lila nodded. Maybe they don't need to travel anymore. Elias gave a small smile. Maybe she was right. He walked outside again and looked at the road one more time. It was still there, waiting for him, just like always. But now, it didn't feel like the only choice. Elias turned back toward the stable. This time, he did not hesitate. I think I'll stay, he said. Lila looked at him, calm as always. All right. No surprise, no big reaction, just acceptance. And somehow, that meant everything. Elias tied his horse near the fence, not as someone passing through, but as someone who belonged, even if only for now. The day moved slowly. Elias helped around the stable again, but this time, it felt different. He was not just filling time. He was part of something. He spoke a little more than before. Not too much, not all at once, but enough. And for the first time in many years, he felt light. Not because his past was gone, but because he was no longer carrying it alone. As the sun began to set, Elias stood near the stable and looked at the sky. The same stars would appear again tonight, just like always. But everything felt new. He was no longer just a traveler. He was no longer just a man running from his past. He was someone learning how to stay, how to be present, how to belong. Lila walked past him, carrying a small bucket. You're quiet again, she said softly. Elias smiled slightly. Not the same kind of quiet. Lila nodded, understanding without needing more words. Elias looked around one more time. The stable, the open land, the peaceful air, and he realized something simple, but powerful. Not everything needed to be carried. Not everything needed to be hidden. Some things could be left behind. So something new could begin, and for the first time in a long, long while, Elias was exactly where he needed to be.